Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Barbara Scafidio. I'm the editor of Prevue Magazine, and I will be your moderator. I'm delighted to welcome Stephanie Harris, Head of Global Marketing and Event Strategy for American Express Meetings and Events. Welcome.
Hello,
and
thank
Anna
you.
Hayward, Head of the Auckland Convention Bureau, waving there. It's early in Auckland. And she is also, the Bureau is part of the Destination Division of Auckland Tourism, Events, and Economic Development. A little background on our special guests. At American Express, Stephanie is responsible for developing and managing all aspects of marketing strategy and execution, as well as driving the growth of the custom event services business. She works with customers, associations, and leadership to develop solutions and support research projects that help maximize their investment in meetings, achieve transparency into spend, and drive business results through their meeting programs. Anna Hayward has played a key role in establishing the Convention Bureau activities for Auckland. She leads a team of 14, including a business development manager based in Australia. As you'll see, she is passionate about assisting business event planners create unforgettable experiences in Auckland and supporting international association conventions to the region. Before we begin, a few housekeeping items. I'll keep it very short. During the presentation, feel free to enter your questions into the question box. We will gather them together and hold a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. If your questions have not been answered, we will provide them to the speakers and they will respond to you offline. We hope you'll tweet during this webinar at #BeVisionary. Get everyone you know involved in today's webinar virtually. And don't worry if you missed something, the webinar is being recorded. You will receive a link via email to access it at your leisure. You will also receive 1 credit toward your CMP from the Events Industry Council. I encourage you to stay on to the end. For those who do, we will be doing a drawing for a $100 gift card. I will announce the winner right at the end of the event. So sit back, get comfortable. We're going to start the experience with a virtual tour of Auckland. I'll pass it over to Anna.
Kia ora everyone, welcome to Auckland, New Zealand. Hi, I'm Anna and I'm really excited to be sharing this webinar with you shortly with Stephanie and Barbara. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to sneak in a quick peek of my beautiful city and where I live and the things that I do and wake up to every day. For those of you who aren't familiar with New Zealand, we're a population of 4.6 million people and Auckland is the main commercial hub with a population of 1.5 million people. Auckland is situated on a very narrow landscape surrounded by 3 harbours. On a Sunday afternoon, I can drive from the rugged west coast where we have lush native forests, black sand beaches, or I can be here on these golden beaches. Our city centre is situated on a stunning harbour and is surrounded by hotel accommodation, international shopping brands and world-class dining experiences. And not to mention our award-winning and beautiful blends of New Zealand wine. And you could just hop on a ferry and enjoy a dining experience amongst the vines on Waiheke Island. With its own microclimate, this is a perfect destination for growing grapes. Auckland is a melting pot of cultures from across the globe. There's so many enriching experiences on offer. And you can immerse yourself in our Māori culture and learn the poi dance, which I'm going to do now. And maybe you have seen the All Blacks rugby team perform the spine-chilling haka. You can leap off our harbour bridge from a bungee cord. It's the only ocean touch bungee. Come and sail on an America's Cup sailing boat and enjoy high-speed match sailing. And if you're brave like me, come and join me here and experience 360-degree views of my beautiful city, which is only 630 feet up off the ground. And if you feel like escaping, you can enjoy the luxury of a day spa,
Oh, what a perfect way to unwind.
So whether it's adventure, thrill-seeking, or maybe it's just being relaxed, Auckland has something for everyone.
There we go. Okay. I think we'll just move forward. I will break the ice by asking you, Anna. I saw you were ready to bungee jump. Did you actually do it?
Well, it was tossing up between bungee jumping on that day. I have bungee jumped, I have to admit, but on that day we chose to be 630 feet and be up on the Sky Tower and be on the skywalk to show the city. So not that day, but yes,
And
I have.
everyone else to jump, right?
I think most silly New Zealanders will do a bungee jump at some stage in their lifetime.
Well, we thought it would be fun for the audience to actually share your bucket list destination. So I encourage you to type into the comment question box. Let us know what your, again, this is, we'll pull this together in a few minutes, but we'd love to hear what your bucket list destinations are. And I will tell you, just to get you started, that the three of us were talking right before the webinar. I will share ours meanwhile. Well, I see some coming in now. Sicily, African safari. I think all three of us said that. Athens, Iceland, Croatia, a trip to see the Northern Lights, Alaska, Tahiti, and Vietnam. And I will read back the groups in just a minute. We were talking about how destinations are shifting with millennials' bucket list destinations, and I think that's a really significant trend that really would have an influence when we ask that question. IRF did a research, their annual trends research study in 2018, and they identify what they're calling sub-destinations. So where Rome, Italy, let's say, or Lisbon, Portugal used to be the primary destination. Instead, planners are choosing locations like Puglia, Italy, or Cascais, Portugal. Instead, they're not as well known as their bigger counterparts, but they have an equal wow factor, brag power, and I think this is important. These smaller communities are viewed as safer and less targeted because they're off the beaten path. So that's a trend I did want to share with you. Let's see what our people in the audience had to say. These are different than ours. Sri Lanka, Egypt, Fiji, Tanzania, Jordan, Ireland, Greece, Italy is probably for across the board. Norway, India with an exclamation point. South Africa again, and Santorini. Interesting, just about most of the world there. So on that note, I'm going to pass everything over to Stephanie, and she will take you through our agenda and the strategy behind the trips.
Absolutely. Thanks, Barbara. So today we want to walk you through program design and talk a little bit about not just the destination or the incentives itself, but the structure behind it and how you can then kind of leverage an exciting destination like Auckland or any of those that were listed. Santorini's on my list too. So we'll talk about the rules structure and program structure. We'll talk a little bit about creating the experience, the trend of personalization. There's so much happening there, and I think Anna has some really brilliant examples of how they do that very well in Auckland. We'll discuss overcoming obstacles, because obviously with some of these bucket list destinations and some of the places mentioned, there's perceptions involved, there's concern about distance and time, and I do think, we can work through ways to get past some of those if we really are focused on the value that the destination brings. And then finally, the impact, the overarching impact of destinations like these on people's desire to earn. So let's kick off talking a little bit about really first kind of backing up and going into the rule structures and kind of what's important there. But we really encourage all of our meetings owners to step back and look at, why are you doing what you're doing? And oftentimes, if we ask an incentive owner, why are you doing this incentive? They're going to say, to drive sales, which is a good base answer and true. But if you dig in a little bit more about that and you really start to push, it might be about retaining your top performers. It might be about really getting deep with improving the morale of the company. It could be about um, improving productivity. And those were the top 3 things that the Incentive Research Foundation found when they asked about incentives. But if you think about driving those different behaviors, each one would merit a look at the rule structure and would really merit a different type of program. Um, if we believe that people perform because we have the right rule structure in place, we can create one that will drive each one of those behaviors. So um, when we look at bucket list destinations in context of different types of rule structure, which I'm going to go into in just a minute, the destination itself plays into that, because it's not just one week a year or a few days a year. The destination can be woven into the way the incentive is rolled out, the way the rule structure kind of manifests itself throughout the year in updates, in bringing in, maybe when you announce an update on how people are doing toward their goal, you do that over food from the local destination, or you create an email that has music in the background that is local to that culture. So I think there's a combination of things that we can do throughout the rule structure once we understand what we're really trying to accomplish to drive that yearn to earn that we all talk about when it comes to incentives. So making the case, making the case starts with that understanding, as I've just said, of what are you trying to accomplish really, really with these rules. And I think one of the things, you can sit down with your stakeholders and they may not have actually thought beyond that base level. Incentives are about driving sales or behavior. So when you drive to a more strategic thought behind why you're having an incentive, you as the planner put yourself more in that strategic conversation, which is always a really, really good thing. When you have a very clear understanding of the desired outcomes, if it is to make people feel rewarded, make them feel loyal to the company, whatever that might be, you can make really good informed decisions as you plan that incentive around how you impact those behaviors throughout the course of the experience or the content that's delivered, because now we deliver a lot of content during incentives for a lot of different reasons. The other thing you can do is talk to the past earners. What have they had to do to earn this incentive historically? Has it been a really, really high bar? Is there a group of the population that feels like they don't even have a chance to earn? That will happen in many companies, especially in a sales structure where people feel like the same people are going to win over and over and over again, and they really don't have a chance to get there. I think that's where a discussion about alternative rule structure can start to come into play. So I'm going to talk about a few alternative rule structures, and how that can really manifest itself in terms of incentive earning. So a traditional rule structure. When you have a traditional rule structure, you've set something out. In most cases, it's a very basic do this, get that kind of earning structure. When you have that kind of structure and you want to bring a bigger bucket list destination into it, typically the result is people get very excited about what the destination is, and they will work harder to do this in order to get that. It's a pretty straightforward, basic approach. But I spoke about the fact that in some cases, people don't feel like they have the ability to earn. This is where a self-funding rule structure comes into play, where basically there's a bar that's set. And the rule structure is such that it's not about a set number of people, a top 5%, let's say, who earn the incentive. This is about anyone who accomplishes what the base level is for the incentive earns the incentive. This isn't about a percentage. This is about creating a structure where if you perform 10% over your goal, regardless of if you are in the top 5% of people, you are going to earn that incentive. And these open-ended, self-funding rule structures make a huge difference in the number of people who work. Suddenly earning that trip is entirely in your control. And it's not about you being one person away from being in the top 5% anymore. That kind of structure can really change the game in an organization, and is something that, as planners, as people who are putting together the reward, we can actually stop and have the conversation about, look, if we have this much budget, we can know ahead of time how much a per person cost is going to be, and therefore we can create a rule structure where essentially when people earn enough over their base goal, they can win. It's a really exciting thing for organizations to put into place, and I've seen it done where the increase year over year in the number of people that earn is phenomenal, and that just means more revenue to the company. When you combine that with a bucket list destination, it's like supercharged. So the third thing that you can do is create for a bucket list destination. If you want to go above and beyond, you have a basic level incentive that happens. The third way that you can build bucket list destinations in and get people very excited about the concept of earning is to have a super tier, essentially, where maybe it's the top 1%, or maybe it's the top 20 earners get a trip that is at a whole different level. You're still inspiring people to win and to earn, and you're still awarding that good behavior with, what I would call a base level incentive, but then you're supercharging it overall for the organization by bringing an exciting destination into play and allowing, a certain bit of your performers to earn that special destination. So we're going to start to get into some more destination specific stuff now. Whether you're working to really recommend a destination or whether you've got one in mind, there are a lot of different things that you can do to maximize that experience. And it all really starts with creating a strong sense of place around participants. So you see this beautiful picture of this helicopter and the ocean, and it's just a gorgeous setting. It's a setting people would absolutely want to earn. And many of us travel really frequently, who are likely on this call because of the nature of our jobs. I like to say I've been to all the best conference rooms around the world, but I probably really haven't experienced those destinations. So to infuse a sense of place starts early on. You want to give people these can't buy kinds of experiences like this amazing setting that we're seeing on the slide. There are a lot of ways to do that. So, infusing food and beverage is a really important way to do that in a destination, delivering experiences that are unique to the destination, not just giving people, another kind of like shopping trip, but you want to give them something very special to take it to that next level of exclusivity, whether it's an after hours tour, whether it's infusing a local celebrity into the mix, whirling dervishes if you're in Turkey, haka dancers in Auckland. These are some of the things that people want to experience, and you want to, put that up front in how you market your destination. I would also say once you pick your destination and you're planning your experience, be consistent throughout. Music, staging, the way your content is delivered, all of that can infuse this real sense of place into what you're doing with your incentive. And then when you're considering destinations, Barbara talked earlier about some of those smaller, interesting, kind of new places that are a little more off the beaten path. They're a little less, homogenized or experienced by people. Really think about and consider some of those road less traveled places where people can get very excited about experiencing and learning something new. And then finally, this beginning through the end, the sense of creating what people are going to experience and giving them little bits and pieces throughout that will get them excited about it all along the way, and keep that desire to earn at an all-time high is very important. So, Anna, I think you have some notes about how this comes to life in Auckland.
Thanks so much, Stephanie, and kia ora, everyone. It's lovely to be here with you all on this webinar. And look, authenticity and sense of place really does align to us, particularly as a bucket list destination. Auckland is a very youthful, energetic young city. The enthusiasm and vibrancy here is truly unmistakable. And I believe your sense of place really starts at the beginning of the journey. From the moment that your attendees and your clients check in at the airport, they're on the plane, they're enjoying hopefully a glass of New Zealand wine, have a meal, watch a movie, they have a sleep, and then they arrive here in Auckland, New Zealand, and they wake up to a whole brand new day. New Zealand, every day, we're the first place in the world to start a new day and see the sun. And adding to that is our manaakitanga. This is all around giving our New Zealand visitors that true experience of hospitality. Our city and our people are known all over the world for their warmth, their spirit, their hospitality. And we were rated in the 2010 Condé Nast Traveller World's Top 10 Friendliest Cities. So that backs that theory up. We have a unique landscape. It allows visitors to enjoy an edgy, urban, but international city, but it's backed up by this beautiful natural landscape. And I think what's important for attendees today, it allows you to bring in that fresh air experience, that health and mindfulness, which we're hearing a lot more is really important to people and their, what's their important part and components of their trip and what they want to experience as well as the destination. And if you look at that and you take, what does that translate to? Perhaps what some of those experiences might include, a unique and absolutely a unique cultural experience, to making your own adventure. And that could be that you're out sailing an America's Cup yacht on our harbour. For those of you that may not know, America's Cup is the equivalent in yachting to your Formula One car racing. They are amazing yachts to experience and very unique. And many people don't know, you would have seen on the video, and Barbara asked me about the bungee jump. Bungee started here in Auckland. And when AJ Hackett illegally jumped off a bridge in Auckland to show what could be done, that's how he started his company. So you can, if you're into that adventure perspective, you can come here and throw yourself off and enjoy the only ocean touch bungee, should you wish. But also, in addition to, in the extreme of that, opposite of that, in 35 minutes, you can be on a fast ferry and you can be in the peacefulness of Waiheke Island, and it's known as our island of wine. It's full of cottage industries with our honey, internationally acclaimed olive oil, many different things, and I'm going to mention horse riding, and you might say, what's unique about that? But we have an amazing supply that's woven in our Māori history into the whole horse riding experience on the island, and it's truly outstanding. Lonely Planet in 2016, in their Best in Travel Guide, voted Waiheke as one of the top 10 regions to visit at that time. And then I think this all adds to that, to your attendees achieving that sense of place. Because Auckland and New Zealand is a destination, everything is so close. We have diversity and proximity. You can very easily move. It's an event planner's dream. It doesn't take you long to get anywhere. You can move people around really easy. They're not sitting traveling for hours. And with that, you can actually bring in the experience of day tours. We're very lucky that a day tour from Auckland, you can enjoy a visit to Hobbiton, and experience that magical journey of the movie set of The Hobbit and the Lord of the Ring films. And not too far from there is Waitomo Caves. It's world-renowned glowworm cave, and it actually has a glowworm that's only unique to New Zealand, not found anywhere else. So again, it's bringing in these authentic, genuine experiences, and what we find is they stay with you long after your flight and journey home. We're so often told from our incentive attendees that they feel like they arrived as a visitor, but when they left, they went home as family. And that, that adds to that whole bucket list experience. And look, New Zealand, we do like to share some of our awards, and you'll hear me reference those, but I would like to share with you that last year in 2017, New Zealand was voted second safest country in the world by the Global Peace Index, which is really helpful for you to have comfort that your attendees are having an amazing destination experience in a safe environment. Thanks, Steph.
Yeah, that's, it's really interesting to me because you do have such a variety of experiences. And, we were talking about the bungee jumping earlier. Barbara, did you say you've bungee jumped in the past? I can't recall.
Very soon.
Very soon. It's on the
Very
list. Right?
soon. I shall hold you to that then. We're waiting for you.
I'm waiting to watch her, and I will be there with a camera. But it does get to the point of, personalization, and the fact that even though a lot of times we talk about the fact that the kinds of people that earn incentives are just hard driven, and you kind of bunch them together. We actually did a paper last year that we released that talked about the fact that people are individuals. So one of the things that we found is that the use of personas. So I'm a marketer, and I think when we look at how we design experiences, and who wants to sail on an America's Cup yacht, and who wants to sit and enjoy wine and a beautiful setting, by the way, that's me, and who wants to bungee jump, are all very unique individuals. And it's important to think about your incentive earners as individuals as well, and to have different kinds of experiences to offer in these, really wonderful destinations. For an incentive to be meaningful. It really needs to feel exclusive. And it sounds like, you have no shortage, Anna, of truly wonderful, exclusive experiences that you can offer to people. But it is important that there's variety in there, right? Um, every person wants something different. So to feel rewarded, for me to feel rewarded, I'm going to want something that's a little bit more, relaxed. I want that time away. I want to feel like I've truly separated. I want to have some exclusivity in my experiences. And that might mean just meeting and talking to the winemaker who's making your beautiful New Zealand blends of wine. That might be what makes me feel rewarded. It is important to think about what experiences are going to make a really major impression on your incentive earners and throw a couple of those in, but have that variety. Typically we tailor an incentive to allow the winners to select from a set of activities. And it's a very effective approach, right? Like we do some things together and then you get to approach and pick your individual sessions. So think about your attendees as, who are the high adventure people and what can we offer for them? Who are the low key people? Who are the people who are going for education? Really kind of bucket your attendees by their motivation and by what makes them feel rewarded. You see on the screen a few of the personas that we think are pretty common in the meetings and an event space. People who go because they're seeking knowledge, or people who go to a meeting because they're seeking inspiration, or they just love to socialize and they get energy and get information from the socialization part. Those same kinds of personas will be present in your incentive earners. So again, just, really take it out of maybe demographics, and think more in terms of who they are at their core and who they are in terms of motivation. And work to deliver that personalization. So I blame fully on technology that we can personalize almost anything. And now we've created, monsters essentially, because we all expect personalization in every aspect of our lives because it's pretty darn easy to deliver on. So I really encourage people to take advantage of that. Asking just a couple of key questions in your registration for your event, and then passing those responses on in a GDPR compliant way, by the way, to someone like Anna, who's working with you to plan your experience, can make a huge difference. It can be anything from getting the right beverage into that person's room when they check into their hotel, their favorite beverage is there. It's a nice way to make award earners feel like they were heard. Even simple things like, having that sense of kind of the best day ever to check into your hotel and have it be the temperature you want with the kind of pillow you like. There's all these little things that just by asking a couple of questions, you can really help infuse that sense of personalization. Gifts and amenities are a critical piece that, whether it's you're going sailing and so you're going to get a custom fit hat that's got your name on it for your day on the water, or you're going to have wine glasses that are engraved with the earners' names on it because they're going to a winery. I think those kinds of things where you're infusing both that sense of local, but that sense of personalization is a really nice touch for people, just treating people like individuals. Barbara, you've seen a lot of interesting kind of personalization, haven't you?
I see that as a significant trend on the gift side. And I have been to events where they're doing entire amenity rooms. So the attendees walk in, you mentioned pillow, they can choose their pillow. There are throws that you can take home with you. Beverages, flowers, I've heard, as an example. So basically, while you're staying at the hotel, you get to choose a flower, the flowers you want for your room. Gifting is very different now. I think, yeah, I'm going to be the one who kind of always takes it back to the millennials, but brands are not what they are to some of the other generations, to this particular group. They're looking for authenticity. So again, you brought up local artists. That's absolutely the case. Bringing in, really seeking out. I've heard of bowls, made from that are made to look like lava rock when you're in Hawaii. I did a program myself. I planned Prevue summits, and we chose an artist who did leather pouches made by artisans in Houston for an event that we did in Houston. So there are a lot of ways of just thinking beyond the box when it comes to amenities. Really, the point of that is not for us to be creative, but for the attendees to feel that we've taken it way beyond what they're used to, with the goal of making them feel rewarded and special. So I'd be curious, Anna, to what, personalization, we're on that topic, and in Auckland, via whether, the experience itself or even the amenities that go with it, how have you tailored your incentive programs or incentive groups?
Thanks, Barbara. And look, everything, and Stephanie, you're talking about that authenticity and sense of place. I think that really ties in when you step into personalization. A bucket list destination in itself already is the exceptional reward. But your points that you made and how we can be informed at the destination around the attendees, what the company's goals and objectives are, what are the experiences, then it's about bringing that in to meet the different needs, and that's that understanding of those personas. So you tick it on the bucket list destination, but how do we help you to tailor that? And that everyone has the different needs. Is it around the high adventure, or is it the low key activity? And so from Auckland's perspective, to Barbara's point, it's gold for event planners, because it's I mentioned earlier, and I'll keep saying, around the diversity and the proximity. And oh, look, we've just seen the cat. Sorry. So I think my point is that your attendees can be really immersed in the destination. My team and I talk a lot around surprise and delight. So what's the surprise and delight elements that brings all of those important extra touches? And they could be, really simple things. We've talked about a few of those simple things, but where do we bring that back to what's authentic around what we have done? Our New Zealand merino wool, which is the globally recognised icebreaker brand. People love New Zealand honey, but I love, and what we have done quite a bit, is taking a more bespoke personalisation approach around the gift of punamu. Now, punamu is New Zealand's only jade stone. It's only found in our South Island. And there's a huge amount around receiving the gift of punamu. Maori believed that punamu had to be gifted, and it is a precious stone in our Maori history and has this long-standing tradition of being gifted to others. It's considered a taonga, which means treasure. And this is what's adding to that real specialness, that you are giving a treasure. And we can help the event planners. We have a lot of special content around and story to infuse into this gift, because there are many aspects to what style of carving do you choose, as to how you tell that particular story of the gift of giving. So we really actually personalize it down, and it's absolutely amazing. I mean, our attendees who have received this, because it's done in such a special way, are usually quite blown away and sometimes quite emotional around it. So but then you can go into, we mentioned the America's Cup, and that those group activities. How do you personalize that? Well, match racing on an America's Cup, just imagine you're on this cup, you're at the helm, the wind's in your hair, and your competitor boats are next to you, and all you want to do is get to the win and cross that line first. And if you're lucky, you might see a dolphin, and you're grinding on the sails. I'm pretending I'm grinding. I know you can't see me. My head's bobbing. But you cross the line first, and that's amazing. And then we do a regatta and a gifting trophies and things around that. So but the other special component, I think, a lot around the incentive groups is the social component, and the food and beverage aspect is really important. And so we often help groups to get involved in our traditional Māori hangi. It's a great way of not only interacting our Māori culture, but it's not just a means of cooking food, but it's that social occasion that brings the group together and brings you together with your colleagues and friends, and you end up having this amazing family style dinner in a beautiful setting. So I think the last point I should bring in, it would be wrong of me not to mention, we're getting asked a lot now around sustainability. And so there are many options around that. And, our passion here for fresh local produce, New Zealand lamb, fresh grown vegetables, our dairy products, award-winning wine. We really want guests to enjoy that world-class cuisine, but in that whole style now, people are wanting that story behind farm to plate. So how do we bring that in and help the event planners achieve that? So those are just a few small suggestions. There's obviously a lot more, and there is the baseline in-room amenities and things that we can help with, but we really want to try hard. Where is our surprise and delight? Where is that authenticity, and how can we help you to achieve that? And coming back to that personas and understanding the profile of your attendees, that's where my team can bring in that truly local flavour, and you feel that you're immersed in it.
You strike me as mildly competitive as I watch you,
Slightly.
try to do
Sorry, I was trying to sit on my hands so that I didn't move, but it wasn't going to work.
Barbara, I think you may be muted.
So sorry.
No problem.
I was talking to myself about.
We'll blame it on the cat. What's the cat's name, by the way? I have to ask.
Really, I'm so embarrassed.
No, it's so cool.
We're all
Yeah.
friends.
So I was talking about the America's Cup, and I think that's a great example of an event where you hit on everything that you would want to do at a bucket list destination. You've got it is a distinctly, it is a, New Zealand institution, if you will. It is a team building activity. It has an amazing setting associated with it, and there's that competitive award, and then awards component. Just everything in one activity. So
thank you.
Absolutely. I wanted to encourage the audience to I have a couple of questions, but we're going to have space at the end, and I'm sure you have, after hearing all of what Anna's been describing, as well as Stephanie on the, kind of the business focus of your programs. Please do share your questions, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. Okay.
So Anna, I think you were going to talk a little bit about some of these obstacles and how we overcome some perception obstacles.
Yes, look, I think as a long-haul destination, our number one obstacle has always been around the connectivity and the accessibility. And look, coming to Auckland has never been closer than ever before. We have had a huge increase in flights coming into Auckland and New Zealand. There are more than 60 direct flights now out of the US. Air New Zealand, which is our national carrier, flies direct from San Francisco, LAX, Honolulu, Vancouver, Hawaii, Houston. And I'm super excited, if you haven't heard, from November this year, we will start to fly direct from Chicago, which is really exciting. So, if you look at that average of 11.5-hour flight time to New Zealand, yes, you may have to have some of your attendees hub, but if you're going to take them to Europe, there's going to be some that would have to hub anyway. So we are now starting to be really comparable on the ease of getting here. Some of the airlines, in particular in New Zealand, is also increasing their premium economy capacity in the front end of the plane. And sometimes with budget, a bucket list destination could be budget challenging. So with the increase in seating capacity such as premium economy, that might help your client consider, because instead of perhaps if they're open to premium economy instead of business, you can put more of that money into the destination. So we're seeing a huge increase in that, which is great. 90% of all international flights come into Auckland, and if you look, what does that translate to? We have around 540 flights every week coming into Auckland, so it's easy for incentive planners to consider coming here. And we're also known, the other thing, I've got 3 things I wanted to share with you on this. One was around the connectivity. The other is around actually the ease of doing business. I'm always surprised each time when we're working with event planners and they say, gosh, I didn't realize how easy it is to do business. It's easy to work with our suppliers. We really want to make things work. We really want to have a can-do attitude. So ease of doing business is consistently commented on, and I wanted to share that with you. For you guys, oh man, the exchange rate is really in your favor. It is never in my favor when I travel there. And recently, I think your dollar was buying like $1.62 New Zealand. Fortunately, it's come down a little bit. I had a look yesterday. It was $1.52. But if we look at the average in the year, it's around $1.45. So, it's a good time to come. Also, visa, we get asked around the visa waiver program. There are over 60 countries in our visa waiver program. It's a bit hard to say early in the morning. And North America is, of course, in that. But if you've got other attendees that might be in other countries, it's more than likely that they will be in that program, and it'll be easy for them to get here. Tourism is New Zealand's #1 foreign exchange earner. We love having visitors, and we're so welcoming, and you don't have to tip, and there's only one tax. And we just have one tax, which is called goods and services tax. It's a set amount of 15%, doesn't matter where you are in New Zealand or in Auckland. That's all you have to worry about. And finally, just before I hand back to Steph, we have been, challenged by hotel product. That has been probably the biggest challenge we've had. But our city is in an amazing, exciting development phase. We've currently got 7,000 accommodation rooms within the city, but between now and 2023, we'll have more than 4,000 new rooms coming into the market. But for your event planners, it's lovely products like Ritz-Carlton, Sofitel So, Park Hyatt, new Intercontinental, Sheraton, 4 Points, and more. So we're slowly overcoming some of the obstacle that you immediately think of. Well, yes, bucket list destination, how am I logistically going to make this work? And we can definitely help you and address those concerns.
Yeah, I love the points around the exchange rate, the tax piece, the tipping piece. Those are just sneaky parts of your budget that, when you're assuming them in and are suddenly able to take them out, they do add a lot of freedom in terms of choice of destination. It can really shift the picture.
Yeah.
And
Think about that.
one of our attendees actually asked a similar question having to do with making it work. She's very interested. Concerns about budget. Do you have some specific, examples from clients you've worked with where you've made subtle shifts, maybe unrecognizable to their attendees, that have made it work budget-wise?
Yeah, there's so many different examples that we could use. And, sometimes it's just around being a bit clever about, and this comes back to that persona piece, really understanding what's their objective. Because again, if you tweak a little bit of that flight coming here, if maybe they don't have to be business and premium economy would work, that would help. When they're here, so long as they're in that, now that we're getting, amazing new hotel product, what's the room type that we need to look at to help, tweak some of that. And so where else can we look at supporting you with the right suppliers to meet those objectives and what you want? So we know that, roughly, and I think Stephanie IRF talked about roughly 4,000 is the average spend per person, and at the moment when we're looking at, let's say if you do a dual program of Auckland and Queenstown, or you could do solely Auckland, it's actually quite affordable. We can look at a baseline program where maybe you're only spending around just over 3,000 and you're getting 2 nights and a half day in Auckland and 3 nights in Queenstown. So there are many little things there that we can bring into play once we understand your objectives.
I think, the other thing that I think is interesting and that we've talked about all along is just the overarching wow factor of the destination. You can kind of trade some things out, right? And people still come away feeling amazingly rewarded because of where they were.
I think it's that, I've talked a lot about the proximity. You're not having to, everything is really close. And some of those components where perhaps they're wanting a relaxing afternoon, or your delegates may be wanting to wander around, or even the journey to Waiheke. And not everyone wants to walk clients, but I think we're hearing more where people want to just walk around for a short while and enjoy the city, and you're not needing those coach transfers, or we can have someone to help guide and direct. You're doing everything that's quite close. So that actually, those are little things that help bring that budget cost down. That's something a destination like Auckland can offer, because you're not into this big commute or transfer or coaching. That's where, in a destination such as ours and the rest of New Zealand as well, you really start to win. And those are the elements where you can put more into the experiential component or the gifting component, which we know that's really important, because it comes back to we talk about bragging rights, don't we? That the attendees want to go home and they want that bragging rights to say, look what I did, look what I achieved, and you miss out. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
It's true. That's actually a really good lead into this whole notion of before, during, and after, and how to take advantage of these destinations to build anticipation, to use social media influence to drive and create that fear of missing out. I mean, before the event, and this is where, again, working with your local destination partner, and hopefully it's someone as wonderful and creative as Anna is, and I've had the pleasure of knowing you in different circumstances and working with you, and knowing that you bring a lot of creativity to the party. And I think a lot of the those bucket list destinations, you have partners like you who want to help create the excitement from the beginning, whether it's creating a bespoke video like you did for today, to get the participants excited about exactly what this experience is going to be, or having you come on mid-year to a town hall and talk about who's in the race, who looks like they're going to earn, and sharing more about what's happening locally. Creating and sharing imagery, which you've done so freely with us about, to create that sense of place and sense of excitement, really use the partner that you have, because I know, Anna, you always say it's in my best interest. I want to share everything about the destination. The more you know, the more you want to be here. Create that for your earners. I think that's a big thing that we can do more of. I think we announce an incentive, and then the year goes by, and then we award the winners. And we missed out on using a destination as spectacular as Auckland or as an African safari or whatever you're offering to keep that top of mind with people. You talked a little bit about people coming back and having bragging rights. We want to use social media, the ever prevalent social media, to our benefit now. So during the incentive, you're creating that hashtag for your people to use, encouraging them, having those, Instagrammable moments. I think, Barbara, you've talked about Instagrammable moments, and setting that up for your people, and then reminding and encouraging them, because you want people back at the office to want to earn next year. Create that fear of missing out. So after the event, having your incentive earners come back and sharing a recap of that trip, sharing what happened, what those experiences were like. It's not about making the people who didn't earn feel bad. It's about creating that desire to earn next year and not want to miss out. There are really ways you can create those tools, and have something on the winners' desks from the prior year that creates conversation with people who stop in their offices. Just lots of little touches that you can do to create that experience and really make the most of the inherent appeal of a bucket list destination.
I think, Stephanie, what's really important there, and that's where for the event planners, if they're not feeling so confident in understanding a destination such as ours, because what's really important is coming here to Auckland and New Zealand, it's very much an immersive experience. It's not a flop and drop. And so that's the key of where actually am I taking our attendees, and what is the type of experience that they're going to have. And that's where, and thank you for your kind comments, but I have a seriously amazing team behind me that have the fabulous ideas and wanted to throw me off the harbour bridge in the video. Not quite sure what the meaning was behind that, but let's say they thought it was a great idea. But and the immersiveness in a destination, I think a lot of people think of us as, oh, it's all adrenaline, and my group's not like that. And it doesn't have to be about that. It's about that hospitality experience. I talked before about the manaakitanga. Our cultural program is unique. It's bringing in those experiences that ticks all those points of, do I want some adrenaline? Do I want some relaxation? Do I want to really enjoy something authentic and different? And how you interact for that. And so it really means that for the event planner, again, the ease of doing business, understanding the destination, you can be completely immersed in it. And we know that the impact is 10,000-fold if you get it right, and you've gone through this, and your attendees go home with just lasting stories. And it's that desire to share, and that addressing that FOMO and creating that desire to earn. I guess I'd like to just finish. I had a few examples, but I'm just going to pick one in the essence of time. I'd love to share one testimonial that we had from a client. As I said, I had a number, but I'm going to pick one, and I'd just like to read this out to you all. This year we selected New Zealand, a beautiful country where nature abounds and the people are warm and friendly. We were able to provide a travel reward program which scored the sacred 10 out of 10 on dealer survey results. So I'm really proud to just share that with you and give you those thoughts.
Well, after this hour, I can see how that would be the case. So I cannot believe we've gone through an hour this quickly. But I do have a $100 gift card for, and I'm looking at our numbers, and everyone has stayed on. But Whitney Freeberg, we will be getting in touch with you and get you that.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
I
Yes.
I want to thank Anna for really painting such a vivid picture of
Thank
Auckland.
you.
Stephanie for getting in there behind the scenes, how to craft a program where the results are there. And I already have fear of missing out, so I hope that we can continue this conversation and continue to share information on bucket list destinations like Auckland, because our incentive planners are craving that. At this point, it's a little after 3. I want to thank you again for coming and thank the audience, and hope everyone has a very pleasant rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Kia ora.